Hello, guys. Welcome to the next episode of my freestyle uh, broadcast. So, Banter Blitz. But, well, I don't like the name of Banter Blitz. I call it Learn from Chess Blitz because my main intention is just to make you learn something new about chess. So, I usually avoid trolling my opponents or something like this. But you can call it Banter Blitz, of course. So, no problems. It is a much more common name for shows of this kind when somebody plays Blitz and explains something. So, as usual, I am going to play several games against viewers mainly today. So, if you want to play against me, just come and challenge. So, I prefer 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes sometimes, but mainly 5 minutes because it leads to better quality of annotations, better quality of play, and so on. So if you play a bit longer Blitz game, you can learn more. Today I chose this time, so actually evening. I want to check if it is better for me personally to play in the evening if compared to previous episodes when I mainly played in the morning. So this usually produced a lot of blunders, was quite annoying to be honest. But well, we will see. Maybe there is no big difference. I mean, between morning and evening in this sense. So let's see if I have challenges already. Not really, which means that, well, just as usual, it is a good tradition already. I will start with some, uh, just games against random opponents because there are no challenges at the moment. Okay, let's see if everything goes fine with the stream at the moment. By the way, if you are already online, just let me know if everything is fine with the stream. So leechess.org, everything's fine. Yeah, from my side, from my point of view, everything is more or less fine. So I'll just start playing chess and then we'll see. So 3 minutes I play flamenco. It became a great tradition, by the way. Almost every stream starts with a game against flamenco. But we can notice at the moment that the guy is a bit lower rated. So usually he's rated around 2500s as far as I remember, if I'm not mistaken, but I can be mistaken easily. And well, this time he's 2300s plus, which is also not bad, of course. So let's play knight c5. Here I usually castle. Maybe he prepared something against it. Let us see. Now it looks like we play exactly the same as usual. So I just attacked the pawn e5. Rook e1. Now as far as I remember, I just played f6, undermining this e5, which is possible, why not? Here I just play bishop to f5. So every time we just go for this line. I don't know, my opponent likes it. I also like it, to be honest. So I just play it with pleasure. It feels like a position with the advantage for black already. So the first comment in chat, everything is going on League Chats. So you need an account in League Chats to play. And as you can see, my nickname is Mostrovsky there. So just come and make a challenge in League Chats. Okay, bishop c7, I usually just take on b2 against flamenco. By the way, I already have 2 challenges. So just as usual, it is the last game against a random opponent, after which we will come back to challenges from viewers. And here, let's say queen g7. There are a lot of different ways, I think, to play. This, well, looks more or less solid. Let's play solid chess, right? There is another question. Andre, are you actually living in Germany? Yes. I live in Germany, that's true. Rook c1. No, bishop f5. As usually against flamenco, I somehow miss... Yeah, a lot. That was a great blunder. So as we can see, there is no much difference. Yeah. There is no much difference between morning time and, yeah, evening time. That was a great blunder, of course. All right. But every time when I lose to flamenco, I then start playing good chess, and yeah, maybe it is exactly the case for this episode as well. So I lose this one for sure, because it's absolutely lost now. Yeah, that was just an amazing blunder. I mean, so stupid. Maybe because I just started reading comments. Well, okay, there is no sense in wasting the time. I'll just resign this one. And now let's start playing viewers. So Crowning Student is here, I'm happy. Ferries Nyan Nyan is the one I didn't play. So let's play. I'm playing with black. And okay, 2584. Not that bad. Time control casual? No, we play blitz. We play blitz. Oh. John Bartholomew is here. But, well, it is John Bartholomew 6660. Probably not a real one. Right? Right. Okay. d5. Knight c3. D takes e4. Followed by knight e5 is kind of a natural idea here. I don't know how to challenge you here in lead chess. So you have to go to actually the list of players and then find me there, Mostrovsky, and challenge me from there. It's not that hard, in fact. Crowning Student says that Sophie Cole has made a video on the Scotch. Maybe I have to watch it. Yes, do it. You will have more chances against me then. But probably you have good chances in each and every game. Anyway, so even without great knowledge, you play great. But, well, if you have a chance to improve, if you have a chance to come up with better knowledge in the opening, of course, just use this chance. Why not? Alright, 95 position is interesting. I still have extra pawn, but white starts exerting a no pressure on my f7. Probably wants to capture on f4 already. Let's start with the bishop b6. I think it's a normal move. I protect f7, control this a2, g8 diagonal, maybe intend to play b5 even. But my main idea was actually to play knight d7 to fight with this annoying knight e5. Because this guy looks like the most active piece at the moment in white's camp. So I want to get rid of this guy. Maybe it's not the best approach for black. I mean, white has a chance to regain the pawn. But at the very least, looks just okay because I complete my development and so on. Yeah, hello everybody in chat. I'm happy you're here. It's always a pleasure to share something about chess with you guys. Okay, let's take on f4 first. This means I have currently a pair of bishops. But maybe it's just for, I don't know, one move or something. Now I think I can take on e5. Looks like the move that creates a weakness in opponent's camp. At least this one on e5. There is also a possibility to continue with the queen b6 check, but I'm not sure if it gives me anything. There is a chance also just to play queen c7, attacking e5. I guess this is something. This is something. Let's just attack this e5 pawn. Chronic student says, maybe you should say something about your video. What do you mean? Which one? Which one? This current one? Maybe. So, I already said that. If you mean something like this DVD on the chess world, well, yes. I made a DVD. It's possible to buy it. I'm not a big fan of marketing the things this way. So today we are going to play chess and discuss what is going on the board mainly. So e5 is hitting, rook on f4 is hitting as well. Which move white is going to make? That's interesting. Rook g4. Alright, so this gives me a chance to take on e5, but let's have a look what is going on with the queen d7 move. So queen e5, queen d7 might be annoying a bit. I have also a possibility to play queen b6 check and then to take on b2. This pawn looks also very tempting to grab. But then rook b1 will be played, so position is not very simple to estimate there. Okay. Rook a to d8 looks like a reasonable continuation as well. So let's start with the rook d8, just attacking the queen. And then we will see. Maybe queen b6 after all was the best move. Yeah, because my rook a to d8 gives my opponent a chance to play queen b3. Now I'm more or less forced to take here. But I have a feeling that this position is very cool for black. In fact. So now I can play queen f5 attacking the rook. But there will be h3, I think. It gives me nothing. h5 is a move now. Just attacking the rook, and when the rook goes away I can take on e4. Something like this. It's kind of the idea for me. Let's just play h5 and see. Oh, Zweihof is here. Good evening. Artur Nawrowski's also here. Great. So all these guys usually follow my Chess24 broadcasts every Friday. Every Friday night. So my point in this position that if rook goes away, I can take e4. But I will do this not straightforwardly, maybe. Or maybe I will. I'm not sure. Let's see. My bishop on e7 is still hanging. That is annoying fact. I actually wanted to play rook f7 here, creating sort of bishop c5, but then white can take on c6, which is annoying. Protecting the knight on e4, I mean. And if I take on e4 now, then queen takes e7. And again, it looks like white is fine. Maybe just to keep attacking with the bishop h4. But then rook goes to e3. But then bishop f2. Yeah, I think bishop to h4 is a move here. g7 is protected, so it's just a legal move, normal one. Interesting chase. Yeah, Smux is also here. Wow, great. I'm happy. So bishop f2, kind of cool tactics. Knight takes f2, queen takes e3. By the way, rook g6 was still a move for white. Instead of playing rook e3, but after rook g6 in this situation, I wanted to play king h7. Just attacking the rook on g6 and then winning it. Alright, so interesting game. Let's have a look. e4, e5, f4 takes, knight e7 is kind of, yeah, this old line that in my opinion is very promising for black. First of all, because it is quite rare, so in many cases white simply doesn't focus on learning this knight e7, and it makes a great sense because I developed the piece. I want to protect f4 pawn in some lines. It is just good idea. For example, after d4, d5, if white plays e5, I just play knight g6, protect an f4, and then continue development the normal way. Bishop e7, castles, and I'm fine. So for a long time, I'm playing with the extra pawn without much compensation. So after d4, d5, knight c3 is kind of main move. D takes e4, knight e4, knight e5. It's also main line. And here c3, so actually not the most popular move. And probably I could have reacted with something like queen e7, attacking the knight. And the point here is that bishop d3 no longer works fine in the view of f5, winning the piece. And if not, then what to do? Queen e2 looks a bit ugly. Knight e5 also looks risky. So even if I don't have f6 or something, I have something like knight c6, also very promising move against knight e5. Well, white's position becomes quite annoying to play. So this is the thing I missed probably. I played bishop e7 instead, and after bishop c4, castles, we had more or less typical position for this line. Again, c6 is probably not the best option for black here. Bishop e6 looks much more natural, so develop a move with the idea of knight e3 already. c6 was kind of a waste of time, and after knight e5 at some point position became completely balanced in my opinion. So after this capture, for instance, queen c7, bishop e6, and f takes c6, I had a feeling that it should be equal, more or less. So yeah, maybe bishop takes e6 was too much. Instead, I would recommend to try maybe knight to d6. That was interesting option. And if, for example, rook to d8, which I wanted to play, something like rook d4. So yeah, maybe black is still a bit better because of slightly better pawn structure. So this pawn e5 is potentially a weakness. But in the blitz game, well, it's quite hard to prove that black is better. So yeah, I'm not sure. This looks playable. After this, bishop e6, f takes e6, white also had some chances still. And here, most likely, I should have just captured on e5 immediately. And after queen d7 to come up with the same idea like in the game. Right, so we have the same, but I already have an extra pawn, which looks much better version for black. But I didn't see this when I played this rook d8. So I just played rook d8, and then after queen b3, I was kind of forced to search for a good possibility. And I found this queen e5, queen b7, h5. I think that after this, black is much better because of just concrete bishop h4. Yeah. And after rook g6, there was a suggestion in chat, rook f7. Yeah, rook f7 is good. But after rook f7, there is queen c6 or something. And actually, the knight is protected. Not so clear. So I think king h7 is better, just attacking the rook. And there is nowhere to go, right? Yeah, the rook is trapped all of a sudden. All right, anyways, not a bad game. Let's keep playing. So, поехали. That was a Russian word. Is there anybody who speaks Russian in chat today? There were a lot during previous episodes. So, yeah. Anyways, let's play. John Callan says, "Oh my god, on my computer voice is perfect. I'm Erwin29 on chess 24. Oh, wow. Yeah, you had a problem last time. Well, actually, it was probably my problem, not yours. So I have a feeling that there was something wrong with the general settings. I'm not sure what exactly, but something was definitely wrong. Okay, bishop c4. I've never played it with black, to be honest. No one played it against me before. So I definitely don't want to take one more pawn on b2. Instead, I want to grab the initiative with the d5 move, but I'm not sure if it is a good idea. So d5, bishop d5, knight f6, bishop f7 is annoying. Instead, what to do instead? D5, bishop d5, knight c6 looks interesting, but in this case, white just regains the material. Maybe just to play knight f6 and after e5 to play d5. This sort of counterattack is possible, I think. Not quite sure, but let's try. All right, and here I wanted to play d5. Bishop goes to b3. My knight on f6 is hanging, right? That is annoying. Okay, I can play knight to g4 now, counter-attacking. So e5 will be hanging. Should I do this or not? Yeah, why not? Let's try. Also, I'm trying to exert some pressure on f2. Bishop takes d5. Okay, bishop c5 now looks very tempting. There is a threat of bishop f7, of course, but after bishop c5, my queen is protected. So, to play bishop c5, just... Yes, why not? Everything looks protected. So it's a normal development move, attacking f2. Yep. But I have only 1 minute, so I have to be faster. That is probably the main problem now in my position. Lack of time. Let's exchange queens. Let's take this on e5. Take this on h3. Now complete the development somehow. Knight a6, let's say. Still a pawn up. Still a pawn up. f2 is hanging, by the way. Why didn't I take it? I have no idea. But I will do very soon, maybe. No. Not in this game. Okay. Let us simplify position even more. This way. Let's take it. Knight c5. Knight e4. h6. Just in case. So there is extra pawn, but there is still a problem, a big problem with the time. But all right. Yeah, I lost several tempi. I think now I will just take this one. There is the question if I have the time to convert it. Probably yes. Yep, I was fast enough. I was fast enough, okay. Whew, on the 3 seconds, well, I actually won a lot of games with only 1 second on the clock. It's not a big deal. And, well, interesting game, interesting try to outplay me in the gambit line. I do believe that there are more convincing options for black to tame this gambit. So after knight f6, e5 is probably not the best move. Probably knight takes c3 is better. Still having great chances. Maybe queen b3 deserves attention here. Just attacking f7. Have no idea. After e5, d5 looks good. And now I have good squares for my pieces. So after bishop b3, knight goes to g4. Attacking e5 and f2. And after bishop c5, I think my position is already, already very good. So let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. My, very, very young son is crying in the background. So I do hope my wife will solve this problem very soon. Because at the moment it kind of deflects my attention. All viewers of my shows on Chess24 already know this. But for new guys, I'm just a young father, so sometimes there is a problem with the background, but well, I do hope it's not a big deal, right? All right, let's keep playing. There is a challenge from, well, it's very hard for me to pronounce this name, but it's definitely the guy I've never played before, so let's play. I have a feeling that I'm playing with black more than with white, but okay. Our stream today is kind of positive thinking stream, so yeah, if I want to think positive, should be just okay to play with black as well as with white. Not a big deal. Let's keep doing it. Bishop a4, knight f6. Okay, so Rui Lopez, probably the main line. Rook e1, yeah, b5, bishop b3, d6. c3 castles, and h3 or d4. Or even d3. Okay, h3, h6. d4, rook e8. Maslov variation. So h6, just to cover this square to prevent knight g5. Rook e8 is to prepare bishop f8. Now I just overprotect e5. And at some point want to take on d4 and take on e4. It's not possible at the moment because of bishop d5 resource. So bishop d7 to protect the knight on c6. And now white also protects e4 pawn, so e4 no longer makes sense. But there is a chance to come up with this maneuver. Knight a5. Bishop c2, knight c4. So the idea behind this maneuver is to bring the knight to a bit more active position if compared to c6, or at very least just to make it possible to play c5, to undermine the center. So, typical situation, I think white will just close the position after this c5. And, well, there will be very long and complicated play on both sides of the board. But bishop d3 first. Alright, I'll make queen c7 move, intending to play c4 maybe, at some point. But now white will take... Oh no, I thought that white will play c4 after bishop d3, but this gives me a chance to play c4 myself now. So let's check if I can do it. c4, bishop b6, cd3, bishop c7, take on c2, then e5 is hanging. No, it's not very good. Not very good. So white will play c4 most likely very soon. How to improve the position, how to prepare. To bring the rook to d8, don't know. So d4 will be critical, as well as d5 after this c4. Well, let's start with the g6 move, just restricting knight g3. Maybe preparing bishop g7 at some point. Yeah, everything depends on what white is going to do in this position. So if white plays c4, then d4 becomes weakened. And I can maneuver one of my knights to occupy d4. The question is, will I have a chance to do this quickly or not? It's not clear. Let's keep playing. Rook d1. Okay. So now what about improving this bishop a bit? Not a great improvement, of course, but at least on c6 it looks a bit more active. Now I want to improve my rook and attack this bishop on d3. That goes back to f3. Okay, now queen b7 looks natural, but probably there is a possibility as well to play knight e7. Yeah. And now I want to bring my knight to d4 through f8 maybe. Right or not? Let's try it. Yeah, probably it was better to take on c4. Yeah, missed something here. So c5 was hanging. The thing that I just simply blundered. I don't think that white is better after that, but position becomes slightly annoying because of my bad pawn structure. Okay, queen is still targeting my c5 pawn, so that I can't really play knight f8, knight e6, knight e4. c4 becomes quite natural, but I have to understand that there is a possibility to pin my pawn then. Maybe it makes sense for me to start with bishop d3, but this move looks not very good. I exchange wrong pieces. So maybe I'll just play bishop f8 now. Protecting c5 and intending just to play c4, in fact. Queen a5. Strange maneuvers. But okay. Everything is playable here. Now c4. Does it make sense? Not really. It will be just a mistake. Let's play queen c6 first. Have no time. My opponent plays very good. This is probably too optimistic for white. But who knows? Maybe it's also good and playable. Not sure what to do here. Just have no time, but white's pieces are misplaced at the moment. But most likely white will just win this on time. After this move, however, I believe in the power of my position, to be honest. Because white is absolutely constrained. Pieces are absolutely misplaced. So this position should be absolutely winning. Let's get rid of unnecessary pieces and repeat the same trick with the queens. Yeah, like in the previous game. Okay. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Whew, interesting game. Interesting game. So, actually at some point I played badly. So my opponent decided to opt for this line that leads to some simplifications. After knight f1, bishop d7, and this, he decided not to close the position with the d5, which I believe the most promising way to play this with white. So just to close here in the center and then to prepare f2, f4 gradually. According to my experience, it is the most annoying thing that can happen with black in this situation. White simply has a bit more space, and this plan of f4 is usually quite annoying. Bishop d3 is kind of possibility, of course. And I think I missed the opportunity to play c4 at some point. So just to play c4 maybe, just right now, why not? It's also possible to make position absolutely unbalanced after ed4, cd4, and to play c4 here. By the way, also move. So for example, bc4, bc4, bishop c2, I can think of something like d5, but we can see that here white has good center, so maybe it is not the best opportunity. So maybe after bishop d3, I could have played c4 without taking on d4. That's one possibility. Queen c7 is also not that bad, but after d5, d5, and queen c2, I actually failed to play c4. So I calculated the line bishop takes b6, cd3, bishop c7, dc2, and here e5 is hanging. So bishop takes e5 guarantees, well, it guarantees nothing because of bishop a3, by the way, so the resource I missed. So probably rook to c1 should be played here first and foremost to deal with this c2 pawn. And then, yeah, I have problems because e5 is still hanging and c2 drops. So after queen c2, I played g6, which is probably also not the best option here. Most likely something like bishop e6 would have been normal, preparing c4. And if white plays c4, just like in the game, black can start this maneuver. So it's possible just to take on c4, bc4, and then knight to d7. So it's possible to bring the knight to d4 through c6 as well. So it's not necessary to bring it through e6. Actually, it takes even less, right, if compared to the plan I played in the game. So in the game, I made several mistakes. So this knight d7, yeah, c4, bishop g7 takes. So yeah, here white is simply better because of the better pawn structure. That's the wrong thing with black's position. And here the computer suggests a4. Well, maybe, yeah, why not? Just plain a4, forcing me to exchange on d3, then rook almost automatically gets to c3, a5 is possible just to bring my knight to the passive position and so on, yeah. So after this exchange, I just keep playing with this awful bishop g7, my pawns are bad, and so on, yeah. So my opponent was very close. All right, let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. There are a lot of challenges. So let's play this guy. And again was black. Come on. Is there any chance today to play with white? Dunno. e4, e5. Knight c3. All right. So my opponent doesn't want to play Ruy Lopez, which is cool because I'm a bit tired of this Ruy Lopez. It happens every time, each and every Friday. A lot of games played in Ruy Lopez, and here on Lichess as well. So I usually play this simple line with just taking the light squared bishop. I prefer bishops to knights. That's why I play this, but bishop e7 is probably too passive. But okay, even this looks okay for black. I mean, long term, my bishops will be good. At least I believe in this. Maybe I'm too optimistic. Maybe I'm just too optimistic. Yeah, e5 is hanging, that's a known fact. Knight g4 will be too much. I'll just take on f4, okay. Oh, can you increase voice volume a little bit? Alright, nothing changed actually compared to Friday. Nothing really changed. Bishop takes f4. Castles. And now c6. So covering d5 square, maybe preparing b7, b5. Also thinking of queen b6 at some point. But the main idea is, of course, to control d5 to have a chance to maneuver the knight from f6 somewhere. Because on f6 at the moment it plays not very active role. I don't know, maybe just to start with a d5 here. d5, e5, knight goes away. That looks interesting. In case white takes on d5, position becomes a bit more open, which is good for my bishops. If I place e5, I grabs the space for sure, but this simplifies the situation for my bishop c8 a little bit. And e5 as well. So I'll take with the knight. Want to get rid of this guy, because it is not very active. And now it starts looking like starts looking like King's Gambit, I think. So pawn structure is very similar. I mean, no pawns in the center. Yeah, interesting transposition. Interesting transposition to the absolutely different story. So now where to put my bishop? To f6, to c5, or maybe even to play bishop e6 easily. If I play bishop e6, I'm a bit annoyed by the possibility of knight g5. But maybe knight g5 is not that dangerous. No, it can be a 9. It can be a 9, to be honest. Interesting situation. Maybe I'm just slightly worse here. Because my opponent has just a perfect development, and this may decide. Alright, after bishop e6 at very least I have something like knight g5, queen d4 check. And then takes on b2. Might be very risky, but let's try. Have no idea how to play this correctly. There's always a challenge to play a position like this one without pawns in the center. I mean, not clear what to do. c4, isn't it too much? It looks like this move weakens a lot. So let's just go away with the queen. d4 will be now my target for a long, long time. b4 as well. I would definitely, I would definitely keep the pawn on c2. Because exactly, my light squared bishop has no counterpart. So having this solid light squared pawn placement could be very good. Could be very good for white. So now there is a feeling that I win something. Maybe it's a wrong feeling. So can I just play bishop b4? Winning the exchange. Feels like a material gaining operation. Right, so queen goes away, I take on the 1. Well, there is a possibility, of course, to play queen h5, but doesn't feel like a dangerous thing for black. In addition to bishop f5, there is also a simple h6 move. Now I can play rook e8, this or that one. Can also take on b3 even if I want. Queen d4 looks like also great centralization. Whew. h6. Knight e6 takes e6, queen e6. Also possible. There is a slight problem with the back rank at the moment. I'll play rook e8 after all. So now there is bishop d6 possibility, but I think I have bishop d7. This slight tactical prank. And again, there is a time trouble, but I hope it will be a mutual thing. Yeah, my opponent also has less than 1 minute, which is very cool. Preventing checkmate. First and foremost, now simplifying the position a bit, if my opponent gives me a chance to do this. If not, I will just activate my queen. Somehow. Now bishop is hanging. Bishop can't really move because of the checkmate on f1. Now I think queen f2 is very strong. Queen e6, king goes away, bishop is still hanging. There is also a threat of a checkmate on f1. If bishop e3, then queen e1. And if bishop g1, then I take the queen. Yeah, this is a lost position. So I guess c4 was not cool. Instead of c4, I bet that knight g5 was interesting. So knight g5, I wanted to play queen d4, check, attacking b2. The point here is that after bishop e3, I have a very good trick, bishop takes g5. And if bishop takes d4, then I take on d2. So it's kind of Maltese cross, typical one. By the way, the guys from Chess24 will easily recognize the pattern. We already discussed it during Training Tuesdays. So yeah, here I win. But bishop e3 is not forced. I mean, king h1 is possible. Here I wanted to try something like bishop g5, and queen takes b2. But this is really risky thing because of, let's say, just d4. My queen is definitely misplaced. And yeah, I have a feeling that white will have very strong attack very soon based on vulnerability of g7, but I might be wrong. Maybe I'm fine even here after, I don't know, series of yeah, defended moves. That was interesting. That was double-edged and quite playable, I do believe. After c4 and queen d8, well, white's position is already quite loosey. So after knight g5, queen b6, again, bishop e3 doesn't work because of the same trick with bishop takes g5. And black comes up with the material advantage, series 1. After king h1, I just win the material after bishop b4. That's the point. Okay, let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. So let's play Make Tal. 3 minutes, kind of challenge because I'm quite slow today. So first and foremost, I have to be faster. Make your welcome. Let's go. The question where we can see all the episodes of Training Tuesday on Chess24. Exactly on Chess24. So you can go to Chess24, just search for live show Training Tuesday, or you can type Mostrovsky and there will be the list of all the episodes. Okay. Queen c2, classic. We already played that, right? This line with the d6. Here I usually try to compensate the missing dark squared bishop with the help of this pawn placement. So I put my pawns on dark squares. So last time I tried c5. Can I play a5 instead? That is an interesting question here. Let's try a5, but it is quite risky positionally. But might be playable still. So So asking that question, you also mentioned chess24 or chess24 YouTube channel. So I'm in chess24.com. There you can find all the episodes there if you have, of course, the premium membership, because it is a closed show. So what was my point here? I wanted to put my knight on c5. I'm not quite sure if it is a good idea. Not quite sure, but let's try. It looks very, very risky thing. So knight e5 doesn't work, I hope. Queen e5, yeah. There is just rook e8 back. But now if I play something like knight e7, there might be knight e5. Everything is being captured in e5, then rook d8, and so on. So instead, I'll try this. Oh, what the hell am I doing? Yeah, if queen e5, I just taken b3 is hanging. All right. That was a blunder, but hopefully, fortunately, it was not that critical maybe. But maybe it is. Yeah, very strange position. So let's put the bishop on f5, creating some threats. But maybe there are no threats at all. I mean, it looks like there is a threat of just jumping with the knight somewhere, but wow. I was actually outplayed. I was definitely outplayed. Yeah, what was the reason? The main reason, I have no idea. But 92 gives me some chances. So now I think I will start with just this move, forcing some exchanges. Yeah, instead of knight e2, I could have played most likely just knight takes e5 or something. Now I have a threat of knight takes f2 at very least. Quite annoying thing. Knight takes d2 also becomes possible and quite decisive. And knight g3 was possible. Come on. Yeah, that was very stupid. So this game is very bad from both sides. From both sides, so a lot of blunders. So Gremlin student asks knight g3 instead of bishop g6. Yes, I think knight g3 was just decisive. Just forgot somehow about knight g3, just typical psychological trick. I mean, knight g3 one move ago was kind of threat, but maybe not decisive. Well, even one move ago it was good. Very strange. I can't explain why I missed it. Alright, so now I have kind of not bad position, but not more than that. Knight g3 was just winning. My goodness. Oh, yeah. Very, very bad game. At least I'm better positionally. c4 drops. Yeah, I'm going to win this on time. Yeah, my opponent was very close. Very, very close. So, yeah, let's have a look on this game. There was something very strange with the concept, first and foremost. So rook e8 followed by e5 is kind of typical thing. This exchange castle. So last time I played c5, and I still think that c5 is the most logical Continuation here, just stopping the pawn on c4, so that making this bishop e2 not that active for a long time. And also in general, after losing the dark squared bishop, well, in this particular case, just exchanging it for the knight, it is a good idea to place the pawns on dark squares in general. So c5, b6, something like this. I played a5, which looks, well, a bit strange. I think that black could have been punished with the help of c5 move here. So c5 looks very interesting, just activating the bishop, e2, also intending to play c6, and preparing b4. And by the way, b4 immediately was also possible, so I actually did nothing to prevent b4 even. So b4 is also okay here, just grabbing the space this way, after ab4, okay, rook a1, queen a1. I still have to play c5 here to stop white's initiative, but a file is open and white has the access to my pawns there. So, yeah, a5 is definitely a wrong move. Rook d1 is okay, queen goes to e7. Now, as we can see, there is no c5 possibility, but b3 is still possible and absolutely playable, normal move. Knight c5, so here there is a typical trick of just taking on e5 several times and then rook d8 with the checkmate, but right away it doesn't work because of this rook e8 back. So I still control the e8 square with two pieces, which is enough. But bishop b2, absolutely correct. Knight goes to e4, and now queen to c2. Well, let's have a look in this position. Maybe it's just okay for black, but I have a feeling that it could have been very bad, in fact. But well, if there is knight g3 protecting the bishop and attacking bishop e2, so at very least I will have the simplification after knight takes e2 check. So maybe it's fine for black. I don't know, let's say knight takes e5. I was a bit afraid of this move, I don't know why. During the game, it's knight g3 is possible here. Yeah, I know why I was afraid of this, because I thought of only knight takes f2 or something like this, but knight g3 is simple. And after queen somewhere protecting bishop, it's necessary to do, right? For example, queen d2, I have this follow-up. Knight takes b3, then knight e2, and then knight a1 with the extra material. That's the point. Okay, so maybe it was okay for me to play this way. I don't know. From this point of view, I would say that b4 looks a bit better, but in this case I just take on b4 and then take on b4. This is annoying. b3, knight c5. Maybe here it was possible to improve the situation somehow, just to control e4, or maybe to go with the queen in advance. So to do something like this. Because I don't think that knight e4 makes a big sense here. Strange position. Strange position. Yeah, so maybe it's just okay for black. Maybe it was definitely much better for white to react with the c5 here. So c5, then c6. And what is cool, there is no longer knight c5 possibility, but here knight e4 is possible. Another move that I blundered. So queen goes away, just takes on c5. Yeah, very strange position. Maybe even a5 is playable here. Who knows? Maybe it's okay. All right, let's forget about strange game and yeah, let's go further. So, Far East Nyan Nyan I already played today, so let's just get rid of challenges from guys I have already played today. It's not very cool to play several games against the one opponent. So let's try Kramnik Student. Right. And I'm playing with black. It's kind of annoying, but maybe there will be again this Scotch, which is very cool. So what did I play last time? I played bishop a6. Let's come back to a5 possibility again. Just waiting for b3. Okay, no b3. All right, can I play queen e6 here? Attacking c4. b3 now. Just bishop e7. And probably just d5, because ed5 I just take on e2, which means that I prevent knight e4 and exert additional pressure on c4. Maybe it was better to do with the bishop on b4, so bishop e7, kind of strange thing. Yeah, just 100%. It was much better to put the bishop on b4 with the same plan instead of bishop e7. But okay, let us see what my opponent will do. Well, on the one hand, actually my bishop covers g5. On the other hand, I have less pressure on white's position. So with the bishop on b4, I could have captured the knight e2 if I wanted. Also, there was a possibility to play bishop c3 or something. Yeah, so definitely much more options. f4. Okay. So the first possibility that comes to mind is just to play g6 to prevent f5. Is it really bad, on the other hand, just to take on c4 here? So f5, to play c3, let's say. No, queen takes a6 there. So dc4, f5, let's say queen to d7, creating sort of queen d4 check. Might be very interesting. On the other hand, it looks very, very dangerous. I don't know. Is it really worth of doing it? Is it really so necessary? I mean, now let's play g6 instead. I don't want to calculate all these complications after dc4 and f5. g6 looks just solid, normal move. Yeah. After f4, diagonal a7 g1 became vulnerable, so I have some tricks based on this bishop c5 check at some point. An interesting position, right? It feels like black has the advantage in development. In fact, white needs to develop only one bishop. Black needs to make castling to complete the development. So in the sense of development, we have more or less even position, but I already managed to create some concrete threats, so at the very least I want to take on c4 at some point. Alright, cd5, I'll capture. On d5. Now I want this queen going away, where after I take on f1, white will have a compensation for the exchange, but it will be an extra exchange. So let's take it. Now it's time to make castling, I think. And to play c5. Looks very natural. Grabbing the space. And intending just to push my pawns here in the center. So Let's put one rook on c8. Maybe it was possible just to play a4, in fact. Let's play it now. Now there are some complications. Absolutely unnecessary. For black, well, it still should be all right for black. I mean, but there are definitely some threats, so knight is going to occupy h6. Should I just play this? Now to have this king h7. I have no idea why did I play all this, given my opponent definitely some counter chances. I have no idea. Okay, let's play a bit passively, but solid at the same time. Okay, my bishop is hanging as well as the knight on b6. What should be the move here? Bishop d8 is kind of protecting everything here. Looks really ugly. Let's check if it is possible to play in this. Still looks very solid, I mean. And once again, it was absolutely unnecessary to play this way. All this looks very dubious now. All my position. But knight on h6 is kind of trapped. So it is active, but at the same time it is a problem for white, I think. Bishop e4. Just stopping me from playing g5. Very clever. Let's attack the bishop. Knight takes f7, creating sort of just f takes g6. Wow. Extremely annoying. Extremely annoying. Rook e7, f takes g6 simply. Wow. This starts looking very bad. Maybe my opponent will be tempted to play for a win here. I don't know. But at very least he has a perpetual already. Yeah, very nice. Just very, very nice. Yeah, absolutely deserved draw. So I started playing very badly and my opponent started playing just imaginative chess. Of course, I was much better after this winning exchange. Yeah, but then started playing quite strange chess. For example, after rook a to d1, it was necessary for me, I do believe, just to play a4 immediately, activating my rook from the initial position. I have no idea why didn't I play this. There was also a possibility just to prevent all this with the help of f6. So after f6, I think I just undermine the key pawn here, and yeah. Should be just winning for black gradually. There is no counterplay. Then I started making stupid moves. My opponent activated his pieces. And yeah. Position became very complicated to play it correctly with blitz and so on. And yeah, somewhere I missed something, I think. So computer analysis, of course, shows all the mistakes. So g5 right now was much better than what I played. Yeah, I thought of g5 move, but I thought that after bishop d8 I will have it as a threat. That's why I played this. But as I said, it looked very ugly, this bishop d8 move. Of course, it was the move to protect everything, but at the same time, my position became very, very awkward. So pieces are not coordinated well, pieces are passive. No surprises that white had the chance to exert real pressure on me. So here it is already winning for white, it says. Where is the winning move? Where is the winning move here? So computer says that queen f3 is a winning move here. Yeah, most likely just regrouping the pieces and then get into my king. Yeah, it's already very bad. Okay, so it was very close. It was very close. Thanks for this game. Let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. Who's here? Archie. Let's play Archie. Finally, the game with white pieces. Very good. Because I'm a bit tired of playing with black. All right. So there will be closed position. Well, in the spirit of Zamesh, King f8 is probably misclick. Very strange decision. But anyways, let's keep playing. g5. Oh, really? No, this can't be good. This weakens f5. This weakens f5, so let's just castle first. Kramnik student says, I don't know why I always get white against Andre. It's karma. Probably. I also have no explanation. It happens each and every time. During last, I would say, 5 or 6 months even. Right. So position became absolutely closed. Maybe I should have opened it a bit, but this is a great blunder. So with the Habel knight g3, I just protected the pawn on c4. Yeah, everything is clear now. Extra minor piece, no compensation. This great outpost on f5. I will be just a piece of crap if I won't win this. But I think I will. Bishop f6. Okay, now I can take on d6 if I want, but let's just undermine this g5 after all. Whew. Yeah. Playing against Kramnik student is always a challenge. Always a challenge. There was an interesting story on Chess24, so many guys who never got the game against me during this Friday broadcast accused me of actually preferring playing to some guys, including Miktal, Kramnik student, and so on. But you just saw it yourself. So each and every game against Kramnik student is interesting, right? So it's usually not clear who's going to win. That's why I play against Kramnik student and guys like him. And a real challenge every time. Let's play knight e4. So here I'm already winning. guess it's time to resign. Just right now. Very good moment. No. My opponent wants to play. Alright, to start with bishop b5, I think, will be a good idea, just to prevent king to d7. Now there is a threat of f6. Or queen to h4. Almost there. Almost. Probably queen h4 was a bit faster. But this is also good. Good enough to win the game. Okay, check. One more. Nice mechanism. Check. Check. And with the rook on h8, it will be a checkmate. Yeah. Alright, so everything was clear more or less in this game, so just a lot of blunders, including this great blunder on c4, and of course this h6 g5 approach was not correct, 100%. Okay, let's play several games. Some games more. Drama. Yeah, that was a drama. Alina, 3 minutes. Haven't played today, right? And played only once before. Drama. Artur Nowrowski. That was you again. What the hell is going on? So, I mean, every time when we play on Chess24, it feels like a different Artur Nowrowski compared to... Yeah. If compared to what we do usually here on Lead Chess. So, I mean, on Chess24 you play much better. What's wrong? What's the reason? Tell me the secret. How is it possible? Okay, so that is the move I prefer here. So it's not the main line of Queen G4, but also quite nasty positional line. So here I usually try to play with my dark squared bishop, mainly trying to exploit the fact that this bishop has no counterpart. Of course, it's not possible to achieve anything concrete out of this opening line, but if black makes some mistakes, usually he finds himself in a very bad position very soon. So let's keep developing pieces. Queen c7. Okay, this gives me a chance to take on h7. I think it will lead to a decisive attack, no? Let's have a look at that. Let's try it. I don't know. I don't want to calculate a lot, but it looks like, yeah, just a typical pattern. Okay, now I'll just go away. Why not? c4. So, knight g5. Looks very natural now. There is a threat of queen h5, queen h7 for newcomers. Important information. So queen g4 now, continuing with the attack, or queen f3 is better than queen g4. So let's put this guy on the attacking position. probably it was better for me just to go away with the bishop simply and then h4, h5. This is still possible, by the way, just to come up with this sort of attack. If king g7, then, well, queen f6 is a move, but I don't think it gives me anything concrete. So queen f6, king g8, then what? h4, h5? Maybe just to play h4, h5 here, but I don't see the reason to sacrifice the bishop. Yeah, I'll just put the bishop on e2. That's it. So I have extra pawn, have very good chances to finish the game with a checkmate and attack. There is no sense to sacrifice the material in such a situation when you already have a winning position. Let's take this. All right. Now I have minor piece in addition. And now I have a little trick, I think. So knight a4 looks interesting, having in mind bishop h6. Just an interesting regrouping with the tempo. If I don't blunder, of course, but looks like that. I mean, looks decisive. So where to go now? With the queen. The queen is almost trapped there. Maybe it wasn't necessary at all. Yeah. All right, let's put the knight in the active position. And now, bishop to e5. Simple castling should be also winning, of course, but bishop e5 looks kind of decisive. Oh, 8 seconds only, come on. I forgot about the time completely. So, let's do it quick. Will be very bad to lose it on time, but... Whew! Yeah, it happens. Wow, I completely forgot about the time, so I thought we just play this typical 5 minutes, but we played 3 minutes, as far as I understood, right now. Yeah. Whew! So, lucky me, actually. Here it is important to, not to forget about this bishop h7. Of course, h6 is a move here, preventing this. And then you can come up with your plan of this c4, queen c7, and so on. That was the reason. Because after queen c7, I think bishop h7 decides. So king h7, knight g5, king g8, queen h5. There is this sort of queen h7 checkmate. Her goes away. I just take here first. And then after king h8, check. So what we have here? Check. And now. Maybe there is no checkmate, by the way. This can be also possible, so maybe it's all right. But okay, instead of that, maybe after queen f7, king h8, I can play something else. Yeah. I should play something like h4, h5, h6, I guess, with a great attack. But, okay, after h4, at very least I have this interesting lift for the rook. So let's say cd4. Not clear, I would say. Not clear. So maybe that was possible to take on h7. I mean, yeah, for blitz, it was definitely good. Because in this case, I have no direct checkmate here. Yeah, it might be annoying to realize at some point that it is not this typical checkmate. So queen h5, king g8, queen h7, king here, check, knight g8, and my god. I can't get to g7, so knight h7, okay, king f7, so what? There's nothing, right? Right. Yeah. So not clear, that's what I mean. But after h6, you don't even need to think of this. Just play h6 and everything is more or less fine. Next move will be c4. Even better idea not to castle short here. So there is a good idea just to castle long. So you play knight c6, you play bishop d7 then, and then castle long. Because for white it will be very hard to attack on the queen side. Okay. Let's go further. Let's go further. Who's here? Improving player. Very inspiring name. So let's play. Sicilian. First Sicilian today, right? Right. Let's play. Just mold as bishop e2 and bishop e6, okay, f4. This kind of aggressive approach against bishop e6 move. So now as far as I remember, it is possible just to play g4, g5, then something like this. But there is also a possibility to play a simple queen d2, followed by castling first. And then to do this. But maybe I just missed something. Maybe I just confused several lines. Okay, this knight goes to e5. Let's put the knight on d4. Exerting further pressure on black's position. Want to get to f5. Some lines are so rarely happen that, yeah, I just forget the order of moves. Knight g4 is kind of super blunder because of this knight e6 followed by bishop g4. And it's time to resign. Yeah, so main problem here for black was this bishop e6. In my opinion, bishop e6 is kind of dubious move here. The accurate order of moves is bishop to e7, avoiding this f4 line. Okay. The question is, how soon is the stream ending? I don't know. I think we have around 20-25 minutes. So let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. Ocean, Ocean, O. Let's play. So there is the increment of 3 seconds, which means that, yeah, the factor of time trouble is more or less neutralized. But still, I want to play it a bit faster. So today my main problem is playing slow, I think. Of course, there were a lot of stupid blunders as well. Play with Marcin Melik. Well, let me know your nickname here, Marcin Melik. Bishop g5, c5. So it's a Leningrad system, so-called. Bishop g5 was very popular at times when Spassky was on top. He played this bishop g5 quite often. Knight f3. Well, d5 is the main move. Knight f3 is probably not that cool. In the view of cd4, let's say. So I have a feeling that white already has nothing in this position, but maybe cd4 wasn't the best move. Maybe queen a5 immediately was better. But still, let's exert some pressure. Let's exert some pressure on white's position. Let's say knight c6. So now it looks like a Sicilian without e4. So one of the lines. Usually there is a pawn on e4, but there is no pawn on e4 in this case. So it's kind of better version for black. So now I guess queen a5 deserves attention. Why not to do this? Attacking c3 and bishop g5, which probably forces white to take on f6. So let's remove g takes f6. So now I have pair of bishops, some pressure on c3. Very comfortable position in general. So to play d5 or not to play d5, there is a question which is very interesting. There is also a chance just to take on c3. To take on c3, to damage the pawn structure, and then to play against this pawn c4, c3, so on. Let's try this actually interesting scenario. Let's try to experiment a bit. Now there is a c5 threat, so let's prevent it. Let us complete the development. It's important. To play f5 or not to play f5. First, let's coordinate the pieces, right? a4. Okay, now. Let us stop this pawn here. On light square. I'm not sure I'm playing the best way here, of course. But at least I try to make this bishop passive as possible. So now let's be annoying against this a4. Let us exchange this guy. Now I have the b file, which is very important because it is the only open file that makes sense to fight for. So I guess rook b6 was a mistake. Now as we can see, the rook is pinned to a4, more or less. So white's pieces are very passive. This gives me one more tempo to activate the rook. Now there is a question what to do. So first let's get rid of this vulnerable pawn. Now let us improve the position of the king. I think it will be not bad if my king occupies e5. Alright, I'm not in a rush. And now I think it's time to grab material. So rook b3, attack in c3. There was a question, h5, h4, h3. Well, if I play h5, my opponent just plays h4, stopping my pawn on the light square, and potentially it might be the target for the bishop. So, as you can see, I started just placing my pawns on dark squares. That is the strategy when you have a light squared bishop in the same color bishop endgame. That's the idea. So, for white, I would recommend to pay attention to the main line with the d5. So only this makes sense here if you play Leningrad system. Because if you play knight f3, well, black has a lot of different options to not even equalize, but to achieve a bit better position. Maybe cd4 is not the most precise decision. Maybe queen a5 immediately was better. I don't know. But definitely black has nothing to worry about after this knight f3. That is the main problem for white in this game. So just too simple, and yeah, had no problems at all. Sorry. So let's play Redix. Let's play Redix. e4. And as far as I remember, I played against Redix 2 times here with black. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't remember. The second game was black or with white. Bishop c5. So let's take on c6. That is kind of popular line nowadays. Queen e2. Of course, knight e5 immediately leads to queen d4 and so on. So instead, we just keep developing pieces, and now we have sort of exchanged Ruy Lopez, if we talk about the spirit of this position. I'm not sure that bishop g4 is a good move, but I might be wrong. I think there is no strict theory in this line. Now what about just knight c4? Multi-purpose move, get into a5 to e5. There are a lot of squares where the knight can go. But my main idea is to maneuver this knight to e3 maybe. That is my main intention here. So I just play bishop e3. After bishop e3, knight takes e3. My knight gets to f5. But what I missed here is the check on b4. Yep. So most likely I will be forced to take on e3 with the pawn or maybe with the queen. Let us see. Let us see how it works. f6 instead. All right. So now I guess c3 makes sense. Just preventing queen b4 check and intending to play b4 at some point, grabbing the space and so on. And if black castles lone, for example, then, well, b4 makes sense for sure, just like here, because I start the attack. I just start the attack. I have to understand, however, that my pawn on d3 is vulnerable, so have to be very careful. Very, very careful about it. And also black has this hook in the form of h3 pawn. So there is a possibility to play g5, g4 at some point. Might be really annoying. So right now there is a threat of just taking on c4. Let's put the knight on a5. Exerting some pressure on black's queen side and avoiding this damage of the pawn structure. Now it's time to castle, of course. So let's castle finally. Let us castle and occupy probably b file, preparing b for b5. Is it a move? Yeah, I think so. So, there is the g4 idea, which can be prevented by knight e1. So I just want to keep position closed if black starts with the g4, and also protect my d3 pawn, which is a weakness. And this position looks very solid. So it will be a big problem for me to break through, but I think I have an interest in resource. So what about queen c5? The point is that if black takes on c5, I just take with the pawn, knight goes away, I take on b7 or c6. So it's not possible to do. At the same time, it looks like a tempo move. I just blockade the pawn, which means I'm ready to play b4, b5. Let us see what my opponent will do against this queen c5 move. I could have probably played b5 immediately, but I didn't want to give my opponent a chance to play c5. That's the point. So let's play b5 now. Now a file is open. That is very important thing. I can probably just go away with the knight from a5 at some point and straightforwardly attack along the a file. There can be also some tactics connected with this. Alright, h4, I have 4 minutes. It's time to calculate some lines. So knight c6, bc6, bc6 is kind of interesting try. There is also knight takes b7 followed by rook a7. There is also d4 move, which deserves attention, or just simply knight c4. And also just queen to a3. And at the moment it feels like queen a3 is the most dangerous and most straightforward option. So let's just play queen to a3. Attacking a7 2 times now. Oh, Fuchs is here. Hello. So it looks like we have almost all followers of Chess24 here. It's very nice. It's very good. I'm really happy. g4. Doesn't mean there is no checkmate there. So let's see. Knight c6, pawn takes. Queen a7. King goes to c8. Well, there is also a possibility, an interesting one. I mean, just to play knight c6, bc6, and bc6. Because rook c6 leads to queen a7. And there is a threat of queen a7 followed by queen a8 with the checkmate. But king goes to c8 and runs away. Okay, what about knight c4 then? So knight c4. Bishop takes c4. Pawn takes c4. Also looks very promising. I don't know what is better here. Maybe just to start with h takes g4 even. Is it really dangerous or not? Maybe I missed something simple here. Knight takes b7, king b7, queen a7, king c8. What is there? There is nothing. Knight to b3. Knight to b3 is also a move. Let's play knight to b3. No, then knight goes to c8. Not that simple. Not that simple. Let's play this after all. This looks at least tempo move, right? Oh, with the knight. So now I can take the rook on h8 if I want. This might be just enough for a win. So let's take here. So check. And takes here. So I have extra exchange at very least. And attack continues. So I want to put my rook on a8 probably. h4 is hanging. It should be winning for white for sure. Knight c4 was probably a decisive mistake. Bishop c4 was possible. And I thought that bishop c4 was the best chance. The best chance. The knight will be also trapped here, I think, after rook b2, simply. So nowhere to go. Oh, knight b3 is possible. Okay, I missed this. Let's activate the rook then. There is a threat of a checkmate in 1 on c8. So black is struggling. Artur Navrovsky asks, the art of calculation with I am Andrei Ostrovsky. Is it your job? Yes, it's mine. Rook b6. Okay, this creates a square d6 for king. There should be something simple. I mean, queen c8, king d6, queen d8. All this looks unclear. All this looks unclear to me, so I'll just take the pawn on g4. Why not, after all? Now I'll just take on h4. Just a healthy materialistic approach in a position with a great material advantage. Let's say here. Let's attack f6. So I have an extra exchange after all. That's the point. Maybe I missed something a bit more straightforward, but this also looks just enough. No reason to make it more complicated than it is. Extra rook. A lot of extra material now. There is no attack. So let's just checkmate it. Yeah. Interesting game. Interesting game. I'm not sure that there was something wrong with the opening stage except for this bishop g4, bishop h5. But I might be wrong. I don't know the theory here. I just play it like, yeah. without learning the classics, because there is no source of classics for this line. Actually, what happens here happens nowadays, and there is no strict theory. So I would probably keep the bishop on d7 here and start this maneuver with the knight d7, knight f8, knight a6, or knight d7, f6, knight f8, knight a6 immediately here. Yeah, just improving the knight and supporting e5 pawn is very important here. Because after bishop g4, h3, and bishop h5, well, there is a weakness on f5. I don't usually like it. It was possible for me to play, instead of knight c4, just knight f1. With the idea of knight g3, already getting to this f5, maybe forcing black to take on f3, or to play bishop g6, which is also not that cool. Because what black wants to achieve here, when the bishop gets here and h3 is provoked, is to be able to play f6, bishop f7, and so on. So here, as we can see, white is a bit faster. So after knight g3, bishop g6, well, there is no f6 still. And it's already possible for me to play knight f5 if I want. But maybe even this is okay. So I would say it's possible to castle, then to play bishop e3. Maybe this is a move. I don't know. Castles, f6, knight h4, bishop f7, knight f5. Well, even this is absolutely playable, I guess. Queen f8. And then at some point g6. So yeah, knight go to f5 with the tempo, but that's not a problem for black, I think, because black can castle long, simply. All right, let's play one more game. Let's play one more game, and let it be Petit Penguin. Let's play. Here we go. h3 really. Okay. g3 now. So let's just play. What? Well, I know there are some guys playing this way. So I can predict e3, d3, c3, b3, a3. Would be nice to see this. Yep. Here we go. Let's attack something. So g3 looks tempting to attack. Let's go and attack it. Creating a lot of light squared weaknesses. Something like this. Already looks very good for black. But I have to be careful anyways. So let's develop the pieces. Now I'm more or less forced to take on e2. But I wouldn't say I'm not happy with this, because now my knight goes to f5. Everything looks just according to classics. And now it's very tempting to play something like knight e4. Takes, queen goes to d1, then knight f3 check, takes to e1. So a lot of interesting tactics. But once again, I don't see a big reason in playing something tactical in a position where I already have a, well, maybe even decisive advantage. But might be also not correct evaluation of the position. Maybe it's still not that bad for white. So let's calculate. Knight e4, e4, knight e4. Queen goes to d1. Knight goes to f3, check. King goes to e2 or f1. In both cases, well, I don't have enough. So let's just keep developing the pieces. d3. Let's take it. And castle. So now I can see several weaknesses in white's camp. e3, g3. Let's attack all of them. So now knight e4 looks like an automatic move. Now it's not even a sacrifice. And e3 drops. Takes. Oh, how to finish this? Rook e2 looks simple. Knight b5, checkmate in one, right? Yep. All right, so there is nothing to comment actually. So this approach of h3, g3, f3, e3, well, probably might be a bit confusing, but in fact, well, just very, very bad, creating a lot of weaknesses, making no development moves and so on. Okay, so let's play one more then. Yeah, and this will be definitely the last one for today. Everybody who wants to keep playing against me, you're welcome tomorrow at the same time. So I will start 8 p.m. Central European time here on Lead Chess. So in general, just subscribe to my channel, YouTube channel. You can see the link right under my name. So bit.ly/Mostrovsky. It is a short link leading to my YouTube channel. Just subscribe there, turn on notifications, and you will be informed every time when I'm online, when I'm live, I mean. So d3, very modest continuation. Very modest continuation. Let's keep developing the pieces simply. And in the show with the Rai Lopez, says Kramnik student. Yes, that's true. Have you predicted something else? That was actually the most likely scenario. Okay, let's try bishop g4. Pinning the knight f3. It looks like the improved version of bishop g4 line, because instead of completing development with the rook e1, knight f1 or something, or even playing h3, white decided to play knight c4. Can be still playable though, but let's see. Now I have a concrete threat, maybe just to play knight h4 at some point, or to take on f3, just damaging the pawn structure and then getting with the knight to h4, attacking it. Where does Mr. Mostrovsky comes from? I come from Ukraine. Let's take on f3 now. So as I said, it feels like a better version of this famous line with bishop g4. And not just b5, right? attacking the knight, kicking the knight away from c4 square from where it attacks e5. So that freed my own knight g6 to maneuver. So now, king d7 looks natural. And let's play king d7. c5 was also the move. But we have an endgame stage, so why not to centralize the king first and foremost. So now after a4 I can attack f3 if I want with the knight h4, but then f4. So let's start with the bishop d6 development move. So the point is that I just completed development and control f4 squares. Now I want to play knight h4, just attacking the pawn. All this might be annoying for white now, because usually in a line with bishop g4 against exchanged variation, white is in time to come up with a king f1, king e2 maneuver. Here it is not that simple. So I can play f5 if I want, and I do want to play f5 here, to be honest. I have very simple play here because I have much better development. I want to open up an F file where my opponent has a lot of weaknesses. There might be also the direct threat of knight h4 now, because after king g3 there will be f4, and after king h4 there might be a checkmate in attack. Might be, I'm not sure, but we will see. Riddick says, but your accent doesn't sound Ukrainian. You mean it doesn't sound Slavic, right? So this typical Slavic accent. Yeah, I worked a lot on my pronunciation. That's why it probably sounds a bit better if compared to the vast majority of Slavic speakers. But thanks a lot. Rook to g1. All right. So I guess now it makes sense just to bring this guy to the attack. Just creating a sort of taking on e4 and get into opponent's weaknesses. Because rook g1 kind of stopped me from playing knight h4 immediately. Bishop e3. Okay, now if I take on e4, then f takes e4. I have nothing, so probably it makes sense, again, just to make this weighted move. Protecting g7, so now my knight is free to attack. Knight b7. And now knight h4 looks just almost decisive. Almost decisive. Let's see. Let's see which order of moves is better. f4 first, and then knight h4. Looks very good. Just winning the pawn f3. Or knight h4 first. I have no idea what is better actually. So let's start with f4. Fixing the pawn on f3. Looks a bit more solid. And now knight h4. Just attacking f3. There is no way to protect it, I guess. How much is your elo, Mr. Andre? At the moment, 2442 points. Riddick says you should sound like Sasha or Kramnik. No, thank you. I would be happy to play like them, but sound like them, no. Thanks a lot. Not my cup of tea. Oh, I missed some counterplay, by the way. Looks like that. So let's take on f3. And let's take on g1. B takes a6. Right, I guess this pawn is not that dangerous, so I can just go away with the knight. a7, I just blockaded. And I have the extra rook. Check. King c7, forcing the knight to a5. Then taking on a7 and winning the game. So, d3 is too passive. So against queen f6, it is much better just to play d4. In fact, this leads to a variety of interesting variations with the bishop on g5, without the bishop on g5, doesn't really matter. d3 gives me a chance to come up with a very simple development. I don't think that d3 is a mistake itself. I think the real mistake is somewhere here, so knight c4, for instance. This gives me a chance just to play bishop g4, and if compared to the bishop g4 line, not queen f6, but bishop g4, I have extra tempi. That's the point. So after h3, I'm not forced to play h5, for example, losing the time on that. I can take on f3 immediately. That is one of the most critical differences here. So instead of knight c4, I would prefer maybe h3. Instead of knight e2, maybe I would have played something like bishop e3. So if you don't want to play d4 principally, then maybe just simple development would be better, like this, knight e2, almost completing the development, much better than having the same with the bishop on c1. And then something like c3, maybe b4, a4, and so on. Yep, playable normal position. Because when you gave me a chance to take on f3, I already had very comfortable position here. Mainly because of this threats of knight h4 and so on. So I will show you what do I mean if compared to bishop g4. So let's say bishop g4, h3, h5, that is the main line, d3, queen f6, bishop e3, bishop takes, queen takes, queen takes, g takes. Yeah, knight goes to e7, knight goes to d2, knight goes to g6. Let's say rook goes here to b1, and white has a chance to play this king f1, king e2, protecting f3 pawn normally. Everything is fine. And then b4, a4, and so on. I play this line with white as well. So now you can understand what is different if compared to this position. So first of all, knight is misplaced on c4. My knight is already on g6, already creating this threat of knight h4, and bishop is still on c1. So absolutely different position, right? Yeah. Okay, that was the last game. Thanks a lot to everybody who joined me this evening. Wish you a great part of this Sunday that is still here to prepare for the first working day of the next week. And well, I will be happy to see you here tomorrow, the same time, so 8 p.m. Central European time. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.